officially on the informal calendar. Okay, moving on to public hearings. We have a public hearing tonight on 999 Diamond Ridge, and for that I'll call on Mr.
Okay, we will
Janice
reconvene our meeting. Appreciate everyone letting me take a quick break. Okay, we are still talking about Bill 2011-135 dealing with St. Martin's. Who has the floor next?
Diamond subdivision at 999 Diamond Ridge.
Bob.
I had asked Mr. Hilbert to provide us some information about the difference in the cost of the or what the city would lose, if you will, in providing an agreement that is less than what the other county residents are paying. And if you could, I'd appreciate that information.
Yeah,
Drew.
We did that, and I had to make some assumptions because it's not an exact science. First, our Campo folks tell us to expect 1% of growth per year in St. Martin's over the next 20 years. And second, I assume that the base rate would increase by 5% a year over the next 20 years. That's what we're doing for the next 5 or 6. But and so I've made those assumptions. If those assumptions are incorrect, then the exact numbers will be incorrect. There are 366 current customers paying the city rate within the city limits of St. Martin's. So there's kind of two ways you can look at it. One way is to say that, another fact is there's 7 customers who would be affected by the rate change as it's proposed here. So those 7 customers are paying 3 times now, and this agreement would reduce that to 2 times. So that's about $1,500 per year, or $30,000 over 20 years. So that's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is to say that if the council didn't do this agreement and then decided to increase everyone's rate in St. Martin's to the county rate of 3%, which again makes some additional assumptions, but that amount would be about $11,000 a year, or $222,000 over the life over 20 years. So that's 2 ways to look at the potential fiscal impact. And again, those numbers are based on some assumptions, so I can't guarantee their rock solid accuracy.
Drew, you said 7 homes, right?
7 people currently.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're all businesses. They pay 3 times, and after this agreement, they would pay 2.
Okay. Any other comments? Thank you, Bob. Any other comments? Going once, going twice? Further debate? Mr. Lubert.
This may not be germane to the point here, but I think at some point in time the city needs to have a comprehensive cost of service study for their sewer utility, so we don't have all this 1 times, 2 times, 3 times business and nobody really know why. So that, like I said, it's not relative to what we're doing this evening, but in general.
Mr. Lubert, I forget, are you on Public Works?
I am.
Okay. We can talk to Nathan, but Eric Seaman would be the best one to start that process, I would assume.
We do have that done every, I don't know how long it's been, Nathan, but every 5 years or so that's done to figure out, and part of that analysis is how much it costs inside the city versus outside as a whole. So if you target a specific St. Martin's area, it would be different than everyone as a whole because they're kind of clustered together. So it costs a little bit less to serve those folks than it does, the 1 or 2 customers out in the county. But we do pay for folks to do that every so often, but it may be time again. I just don't recall.
There's a lot of these deals, not a lot, but there's several of these deals that are kind of out there, and they're just sort of, like this one, lost in the midst of time as to why it came about. And over the years, different deals were made by different councils for different reasons.
Dr. Pope, I see your hand.
My co-counsel, since he from the 3rd, since he is the chairman of Public Works, and the big impact of this is a Public Works impact in that it's a sewer impact financially. Where, in your mind, from an administrative committee point of view, with the annexation issues that are these 2 things being balanced, Councilwoman Carroll is dealing with administrative issues and with annexation issues, and to balance this, frankly, I'm having a difficult time. I want to protect the park. That's my biggest concern, is to protect the park. On the other hand, I want to protect the financial revenue of the sewer department, and I'd like to know how you two feel about that. I need some, we've listened to staff. I'd like to listen to some other councilmen's viewpoint on this.
Councilwoman Carroll.
And I would say this isn't necessarily the view of the administration committee, because we really didn't discuss this at length there at all. But I would say that I'm concerned that, I want to be neighborly. I want to see this happen. I think it's a step in the right direction, but at the same time, I'm concerned because I feel like there's still too many questions. I know that you've worked hard on it with our legal department as well, but I feel like there's too many things that we're just not, I'm not convinced, and I want to be convinced. I want to feel confident that we're doing the right thing, and we're getting closer, but I don't think we're there yet. And knowing even that Wren wants to be annexed into Jefferson City, and can we go back and figure things out that would benefit our community a little better? And I'm just not convinced. So I feel like I don't want my no vote, because I was hoping to be convinced this evening with this discussion, and I just haven't been. So I don't want my no vote to seem that I'm not supportive of an agreement, because I completely want to be 100% supportive, and I can't see that yet. But I think we're getting closer, but I'm not convinced. But I'm hoping that a no vote won't take us back so far that we can't. I still want us to continue working towards something, but I think after hearing the discussion tonight, I think it's clear that we need to look at the sewer issue and look at Wren a little closer. Thank you.
Dr. Pope. Go ahead, Bob.
In response, I guess Carrie has really kind of summed up for me my concerns. We're talking about entering into a 20-year agreement when our history has been an agreement that we haven't really felt that good about. Now, maybe we didn't really understand the reason why the previous council had done it, but we've had a lot of meetings, we've had a lot of conversations about this agreement, and almost every time it's been to lament the agreement that's been in place in the past. And we're extending it. We're extending it for another 20 years. And Councilman Lubert makes a great point in that we don't even know, per se. I guess we know to some extent what our costs are, but because we know that the fund is growing and so on and so forth. But I would think that I'd like to see some justification for the various rates and why we're doing 3 times or 2 times, and why we have 3 different sewer rates, and I just am not prepared at this point to vote for this. I'll vote, if it comes to a vote tonight, which it's going to, I'm going to vote against it, because it doesn't mean that another ordinance can't be introduced, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, and certainly maybe some of the questions that we have can be answered. I understand St. Martin's is, maybe they've made their last and best final offer, but we don't necessarily have to accept that.
I just have a comment, Dr. Pope. Since we are, even though I'm the mayor now, we're co-councilmen. We were on the council together when this first came up, underneath Mayor Landwehr's term. And when I first became mayor, if you remember correctly, we were looking at a lawsuit with St. Martin's. And at that point in time, many of us thought that our Binder Park, which has been around in our city, was founded when, Bill? 69? 65, that we potentially had lost that battle, and St. Martin's would be able to surround Binder Park. And I think that's, kind of obviously what has gotten this started. If this is defeated tonight, that's the way the ball rolls. But I think as a council, we need to continue to work with St. Martin's. And I would like to see definitive questions from members of the council on exactly what they don't like about this agreement so that we continue the process of negotiation. Thank you. Dr. Pope.
The thing that confuses me so much about this is that we were in those meetings together when we had representatives of staff-chosen attorneys to go over all of that sequence of annexations. And at that point in time, we were told what a good case we had. And we went from, of course, a change, nothing happened, and we went from a change in administration, and then all of a sudden, because I remember we discussed and moved toward utilizing the services of those folks based on their report, and then it just sort of went away. And then we got to this negotiation part, and my difficulty is, as I've said, my concern is protecting the park. On the other hand, it seems as though we've just backed off and rewarded them with the bad behavior that we were told by these attorneys was easy to prove in a court. And we just dropped it. And that's why I'm so confused. But I agree with you. We have to continue working with them, and the line that's currently drawn definitely protects the park. We were concerned about the park and the school, and this takes care of that.
And I'm assuming, Drew, that if this is defeated this evening, they could continue to try to go around the park. There's nothing to stop them at this time. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Councilman Kuhn.
If this is defeated this evening, can we renew our lawsuit about their illegal annexation?
Sure.
Okay. Any other comments or debate? I don't want to end debate unless you guys are ready to, so. At this point in time, I'll entertain a motion to call the question. The question's been called. Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. Calling the question will end debate, and we will move on to the original motion, which is 2011-135. All those in favor of calling for the question and ending debate, is it roll call, Nathan, or voice?
Mr. Mayor?
I'm sorry?
Before you call that, it occurs to me that we would need a motion to amend the ordinance to substitute the new proposed contract before it's defeated or passed, as the case may be.
Before we get to where we're going here, okay.
So it would just be a motion to substitute
Okay.
the new agreement.
With that in mind, is there a motion to
substitute.
Motion to substitute? Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. Discussion.
Move the question.
The question's been moved that we vote on the substitute. Okay, is that right? So are we voting on the substitute, or
no? We need to amend.
Or the amendment.
There was
Okay.
a motion and a
Okay.
second to vote on the.
There's a motion to vote on the amendment.
To amend.
To amend.
Yes.
Sorry. Okay. All in favor? Roll call, please. I'm sorry.
Bray,
Aye.
Carroll,
Aye.
Kuhn,
Aye.
Lubert,
Aye.
Pope,
Aye.
Schulte,
Aye.
Scrivener,
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Motion passes. So now we will discuss.
Now you can call the question if you
Okay.
like.
Does that have to be repeated, Drew? Okay, I'm hearing that it could be. Councilman Weber. Okay, the question's been called and seconded. All those in favor of calling for the question and ending debate, please say aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Now we will vote on the Bill 2011-135 as amended. Roll call, please.
Bray,
No.
Carroll,
No.
Kuhn,
No.
Lubert,
Aye.
Pope,
No.
Schulte,
Aye.
Scrivener,
No.
Weber.
No.
Motion fails. Now we'll move on to Resolution 2011-43. Mr. Hilpert, if you could explain that to us, please.
This came about in the administration committee. They had asked for an update on the vacant IT position, which is intended to allow us to move to an electronic storage-based system. Basically, going paperless is the common term for it. And the report from Mr. Betts was that he had not filled that position in order to achieve vacancy savings. Councilman Scrivener and Schulte wanted to get that position filled and ask the proper way to do that. And I told him the council speaks through the resolution, and so this resolution would direct the city administrator to fill that IT position immediately in accordance with the budget that it passed.
Just point of information, does this make us paperless, or is this just the first step by
this would just
by filling a vacant position?
You'd fill that vacant position. The money's there for the programs and equipment's necessary. It's just that, as you all heard in last budget season, we need somebody to be in charge of it and do the
job.
That's to fill that position.
All right. Comments? Councilman Scrivener.
The purpose of the position is to start the city down the path and be able to develop, as I understand it, to develop a policy of record retention and scanning policies and so on and so forth. And I think it's important for those that are listening at home and the general public to know that just the city is already started on this process in a couple of areas. One of them in the what is it, the fine payment or the utility payment area, I believe it is.
It was in the check request through staff.
Okay, check request through staff, and just that minor effort has eliminated 10 file cabinets. And while that may not seem like a lot, that is just one of the processes that the city undergoes. And we're talking about a multiplier effect here, because all of those records have to be stored, and each year you're talking about an additional 10 file cabinets of storage that has to be kept. So as we said in a previous meeting, I appreciate the efforts of the city administrator. He's trying to follow another mandate of the council, and that is to achieve vacancy savings, and so he's doing exactly what we've asked him to do, but we've also asked to have this position filled through budgeting the monies for this position. And so in order to provide direction, if you will, we're just saying through this resolution that we want you to go ahead and undertake this process, get this person hired, and let's start moving toward the long-term savings that the city's going to achieve. It's a ecologically friendly thing, and it's a financially friendly thing for the city in the long run. So I hope that all of you will support this resolution and that we can move forward with this.
Okay, any other comments? Councilman Weber.
I don't recall how much we put in the budget for vacancy savings off the top of my head. Could somebody maybe tell us what we put in the budget and maybe where we're at to date on those vacancy savings?
I think Mr. Schluter could help us with that.
Well, we put $260,000 in the budget for vacancy savings, but I believe Gail can probably update you perhaps on where we are right now through the first 5 months.
Gail?
Yes, it is $262,000, which was put in for vacancy savings, and we now have a balance of $126,500 that we have remaining. So we're about halfway there after 5 months.
I have a question for our finance director. Where are we at currently on the overall proposed budget, do you think, after 5 months?
Well, our revenue is up to where we thought we would be for the first 5 months, so I think we're in a better position than what we thought we would be after the first 5 months of operations.
Thank you, Steve. Comments or questions over here to the left? To the right? Debate?
And I don't mean this in a critical way, but I'm going to use a term maybe that sometimes can be critical. But if we create a position, our budget for a position, and have that amount added to the overall personnel budgeted amount. If you use that increased amount as part of your vacancy savings, you really have, it's kind of a shell game, because you're creating savings not from employee of current positions that you don't fill. You're creating it from a position that we could have created vacancy savings by saying, let's budget for 3 more police officers, and never had any intention of filling those. That every bit of that would have showed up as vacancy savings. So you are misleading yourself in believing that you've created vacancy savings if that vacancy savings comes from a position that never existed. All you've done is pad the monies. So if you want to truly measure vacancy savings, you fill this position, and then you create vacancy savings from already existing positions.
Councilman Pope?
Question for Nathan. We are where we are because we ask that you save us, this money in the budget with vacancy savings, and you have not filled this position. Do you think it's a good idea to do this? If we prioritize this money is best spent, is this where you think the money's best spent? File cabinets are cheap compared to people.
I think our sales tax income is up, so the budget will still balance if you do this. In terms of what's better, what's worse. It's something. It's a council priority that I think that we can afford now. I still hope to make the vacancy savings, but all I would say is that if we end up, I have every confidence that the budget will be balanced in the year. In fact, I'm sure we're going to have a surplus. But if we don't make this particular number, just bear in mind the decision that was made. But I could have filled this position, and not filled some police officer positions. So it's all a relative game of deciding what's the most important at a particular time. But it's a good position.
Is the follow-up?
Yes, sir, Dr. Pope.
Now that we're just beginning the process for this next year's budget, and we're going to this new method, and are we going to consider this a base employee for IT, or are we going to make them justify something that we just asked them to do?
I think that would depend on the next budget from Nathan and myself, right?
I think we're trying to get away from the base budget. Steve used the term today, which I kind of like, the incremental approach, to that every position would have to be rejustified every year. So yes, it would be.
It's up for discussion.
As would everything else, but again, that's a relative concept.
Okay. I think Carrie had a question or comment.
I wanted to comment on that this position will save a lot more than just the file cabinets. We had at our administration presentation the cost of the overall cost savings that will occur every year will pay for a lot of this, because the time spent by employees trying to retrieve information when it goes paperless is so much easier, and it'll take time to adjust to that, but just the time savings and accessibility for the public and for staff. So those were also savings that we will incur by bringing this person on board. And I think the longer we wait in this position and going this route with technology has to be done. The question is now, or will it be the next council, or at what point will we embrace that? Because we'll just continue to get further behind as a city and as a council, and have a lot of risk with keeping our records on paper and not having them electronic and having the backup. So I think in the long run we'll save. So I just wanted to mention that too. It's not just the file cabinets. Thanks.
Thank you, Carrie. I have actually a question for our city administrator. What about the equipment behind this position? I know this isn't the equipment yet, but what comes next? Where do we stand on that equipment, Nathan? I know, but I'd like for the public to know.
We do have funding for that. That was included, I believe, in the sales tax money, if I'm not mistaken. So once the position is filled, we could begin purchasing the necessary equipment to make the position really work.
Okay. Any other debate?
The position too is that the duty, I mean, when we hire someone, their focus will be on creating a policy and a methodology and training and records keeping process and so on and so forth. But a lot of that work is one-time work. Not to say that there wouldn't be something else. I mean, you have to maintain it. You have to keep policies up to date and one thing and another. So someone that is hired today to do that may very well be doing something else for the city in the future. And I'm not saying that bringing this about is going to, all of a sudden shrink the city workforce, but it may very well keep it from growing in the future. That hiring this one employee now may save us 5% employee growth or 10% employee growth in future years. That's the whole idea behind increasing efficiencies, and that's why so many cities and counties and other businesses, and that's why Councilman Schulte is sitting over there with that laptop right now and essentially doing his work on a paperless basis, is because it is more effective and more efficient. And I've got tons of these files at home that I wish I had them in a computer. I wish whenever I wanted to go back and look at a bill that I could just put that bill number in, or maybe not the bill number, but maybe just a phrase, and go back and find what I'm looking for. And the same efficiency that comes about in doing that for me can be multiplied across all of the employees of the city.
All right. Thank you, Councilman Scrivener. Any more debate? Councilman Schulte.
One quick comment. I just want to remind the council of what the vacancy savings was in the initial budget that we looked at. It was significantly reduced when we approved the budget. And just to say that if we approve this position is not a free ticket to reduce the vacancy savings by $65,000. Encourage staff and the directors to get together. We got 7 months left. And to look at ways to come up with that vacancy savings and not use this position as a free ticket. At the time of the budget, this was important to the council. I still feel like it's still important to the council. We need to move forward with it. Thanks.
Okay. It's been a long night. My head's about ready to fall off of left and right. Any other debate? Seeing none, roll call, please. Actually, I need a motion to accept.
So moved.
Second.
Been a motion and a second to accept 2011-43. Further debate? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Carroll.
Aye.
Kuhn.
Aye.
Lubert.
Aye.
Pope.
Aye.
Schulte.
Aye.
Scrivener.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Bray.
Aye. Motion passes. Nothing under number 19 tonight. Number 20, council and staff discussion of presentation topics. Anything under new business this evening? Shoot.
I was going to save this for a Public Works Committee meeting, but it actually could be asked now, and he may not know, but Steve, how are the collections, if you will, of the sewer bills? Is the majority of people paying them without any effort? Are we just give us, if you wouldn't mind, a little rundown on that?
Well, some of the confusion resulted from Missouri American billing at the last second, and then us having to bill for the entire month, so there was an overlap on the billings, and it generated much confusion amongst the customers as far as us taking over the billings for the sewer bills. So as a result of that, we're finding ourselves still answering lots of questions, trying to figure out the bills that were collected from Missouri American versus what we billed for. So the transition hasn't gone as smoothly as we'd hope. Yes, we're in a process of giving more time an extra 30 days before we consider some of those uncollectible because of the overlap in the billings and the less than smooth transition. We're collecting the money, but we're finding it's taking a little longer for this orientation period to go from Missouri American billing to the city billing. So the money is coming in. It's just been a little more difficult than we had anticipated to do that.
So you anticipate it's going to seek its equilibrium and we'll get on track, or are we going to have a higher delinquency rate, or what's your best guess?
Well, we found out after the transition was supposed to be done that there was another 1,400 customers, some active, some inactive customers, that they chose to write off, and generally they wait till 6 months to write off those accounts, but since the agreement with them ended, then they're calling those 1,400 accounts uncollectible right now and sending them to us. So we're in the process of trying to identify the active versus the inactive, and if the inactive have just moved to another address. So we're we're trying to work through that 1,400 customers that they dropped on us at the last second to determine whether they're truly uncollectible or it's just that they ran out of time and just decided to give it to us.
Does giving it to us relieve them of their obligation to pay us? Is that kind of what the purpose of doing that is?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. Anything over here? Under new business 21. Unfinished business 22. I actually do have a little bit of unfinished business. I would like to commend the council tonight. Tonight we've got some very big projects in order for our city. The animal shelter, partnering up with the county commission to get that accomplished. I think that's a great deal for our city. And above and beyond, one of the very first things that I wanted to do when I became mayor was our new sirens. Our sirens are very old, and we should be commended for, I think, making those moves tonight to do that. And there was a third. Oh, I got to cross that off. Okay. Any other scheduled reports? Is there a motion to adjourn? All in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign.